What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NY Prepper. It is Friday, December 29th, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. We have some major breaking news coming in this morning from Poland and Ukraine. So, late last night, Russia launched its largest missile attack on Ukraine since the war started 2 years ago almost. Okay, over 122 missiles were fired at Ukraine. Every major city was hit, from Kharkiv all the way to Lviv and every city in between. And what you're looking at here is a graph that was created by Rohan Consulting, and they posted this on their Twitter page, and it shows all of the Russian missile attacks since the war started, all the major Russian missile attacks. And you can see last year there were a lot of them, and then they died down. And then you can see right here this one bar, okay, 122 today, okay? So basically nothing all fall and summer, and now all of a sudden this massive attack, the largest since the start of the war. So I don't know if this is the beginning of a new phase in the war where Russia's going to increase their intensity and they're going to throw everything they have at Ukraine now, because Putin knows that there's an election coming up here in the US next year. And depending on who wins the election, it could change the support for Ukraine and how tough America is on Putin. For example, if Trump gets elected, Trump is going to be a lot tougher on Putin than Biden. And Putin is afraid of Trump, in my opinion. That's why Putin did not invade Ukraine until Biden got elected. Okay, the first thing Putin did when Biden got sworn in is literally 2 months after he moved all his forces to the border of Ukraine, and he saw that there was no response from America. And then a year later, he went ahead and actually invaded, but he waited until Biden got elected. I know some of you guys are not going to want to hear that, but that's just the truth, okay? Putin did not invade Ukraine while Trump was president. And why that is, we don't know. But I think in Putin's mind, he feels like Trump is a little bit more unpredictable and a little bit more crazy. So he'd rather just not take the risk and wait until some kind of softy like Biden gets elected. So Putin is going to throw everything he has at Ukraine now. Zelensky said he was going to draft 500,000 people. And in addition to this massive missile strike, apparently a missile flew into Poland last night and violated Polish airspace. And this was already 100% confirmed by the Polish generals, the Polish president, etc. The Polish president spoke by phone with all major NATO commanders. So apparently this missile flew 3 minutes and 40 kilometers inside of Polish airspace. It crossed into Poland near Lviv, and somehow it turned around and flew back towards Ukraine. Either it left Poland and went back into Ukraine, or it crashed in Poland. The details are sketchy right now. I will continue to monitor the situation and update you guys probably later on tonight, either in another video update or a live stream. I'm not sure just yet. But as some of you guys may know, my family is from Poland, so this situation touches me very deeply. Okay, so I'm going to be monitoring this very, very closely. All right. And, because I can understand Polish, I can read Polish, speak Polish, everything. I can monitor the news sources over there that cannot be translated into English, and I can give you guys the inside scoop. Also, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine put out a security alert today, and they're warning of a heightened risk of missile attacks and drone attacks on Ukraine over the New Year's holiday. And they're telling U.S. citizens to be on high alert and reminding U.S. citizens to abide by all curfews imposed by the Ukrainian government and to identify shelter locations in advance of any air raid alert, and to download a reliable air alert app to your mobile phone. Immediately take shelter if an air alert is announced. Keep reserves of water, food, and medicine, and follow directions of Ukrainian officials. So things are really getting crazy, guys, okay? A Russian missile flew into Poland for the third time since this war started, okay? The first time it crashed just over the border from Ukraine, and 2 Polish farmers were killed. The second time, a missile flew from Belarus and crashed in northwestern Poland near the city of Bydgoszcz. And that missile had a dummy warhead on it made of concrete, and it crashed just a few miles from a major NATO base in Poland. And now we have this situation, literally a missile from Russia flying into Polish territory, into Polish airspace for 3 minutes and 40 kilometers. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys on the map exactly where this happened. So I want to just read to you some more details of the missile attack, though, on Ukraine. So, like I said, at least 122 missiles were fired at Ukraine last night. At least 18 Russian strategic bombers were used to launch air-launched cruise missiles. All major cities in Ukraine were hit. We're hearing that a large mall in Dnipropetrovsk was hit, and also a maternity ward, and multiple missiles were intercepted over the capital in Kyiv. The spokesman for the Ukrainian Air Force, Colonel Yuri Ikhnat, stated that we have never seen so many targets on our monitors at once before. Okay? I'll say that again. The spokesman for the Ukrainian Air Force said we have never seen so many targets on our monitors at once before. And the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Denis Shmyhal, reported that Russian forces targeted critical infrastructure facilities. And Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, said Russia was striking with almost everything in its arsenal, which is true. They used everything: hypersonic missiles, cruise missiles, S-300 missiles. They launched a variety of different missiles to try to overwhelm Ukraine's air defenses. And I want to just read to you more about this Russian missile that crossed into Polish airspace. So the Polish chief of staff, that's Poland's top general, said everything indicates that a Russian missile entered Polish airspace. It was tracked by us on radar. It also left our airspace. We have radar and allied confirmation of this. Okay, so multiple NATO allies, probably Ukraine also, were tracking this missile. And the Polish president, Andrzej Duda, had a phone conversation with the Secretary General of NATO about the violation of Polish airspace. He also convened an emergency meeting of the Polish National Security Council. And the Polish defense minister said that in the morning, Polish airspace was violated by an object detected by our systems. I want to assure you of good coordination and cooperation. Polish and allied systems were activated. And the Major General Maciej Klisz said the missile stayed in Poland for 3 minutes and there was an approximately 40-kilometer airspace violation. Okay, that is huge, guys. Polsat News unofficially determined that it was most likely a Russian Kh-22 or Kh-101 cruise missile. The information was later confirmed as true by the Polish military after a meeting of the National Security Council, as detailed by the chief of the general staff of the Polish army, General Wiesław Kukuła. The rocket flew from Ukraine and most likely left our airspace after a few minutes. Now, what's weird is there's conflicting reports about whether this missile left Polish airspace or crashed in Poland. There's currently a search underway in Poland for potentially this missile. And eyewitnesses are reported seeing Polish military doing search grids in various areas. The spokesman for the Operational Command of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Jacek Goryszewski said that Polish combat aviation was activated during the incident. As we know, at night there was a massive missile attack by the Russian Federation on the territory of Ukraine. The combat readiness of our anti-aircraft assets was increased, and pairs of fighters on duty were engaged to ensure the safety of our airspace. So Poland deployed their fighter jets, guys. Okay, they were ready to shoot this missile down with their fighter jets. And what's interesting is this violation of Polish airspace happened literally just a month after Germany announced that they were withdrawing their Patriot batteries from Poland. Isn't that funny, guys? Okay, Germany says, we don't need to put our Patriot missiles in Poland anymore. There's no more threat of a Russian missile attack. And then soon as Germany pulls their Patriot missiles out, Russia sends a missile into Poland. And make no mistake about it, this was on purpose, guys. They were testing Poland's response and NATO's response. This was not an accident, guys. Just like those drones crashing in Romania was not an accident. And what is Biden doing about it? Zero. Just like he's not doing anything about all the ships being attacked in the Red Sea. He's doing nothing about it, guys. Remember when Biden said we're going to protect every inch of NATO territory? A ground search is currently underway. More than 20 soldiers are involved in operations at the site of the lost signal to examine all scenarios in detail and not miss anything. The loss of the signal occurred near the southeast of Zamość, and now the search is underway to determine whether something could have landed in Poland or whether another scenario is possible. The search is on a large scale because the search area is huge. It covers the area between Zamość, Hrubieszów, and Tomaszów Lubelski. The search is ongoing in 3 Polish counties. And Polish counties are very large. They're not small like here in the U.S. These are massive counties equivalent to some of the counties in the western states like Wyoming or Montana. So they have a huge area to cover. Here we have an official post by the Polish Operational Command. And I'll read to you what they wrote. In the morning, an unidentified airborne object entered the airspace of the Republic of Poland from the side of the border with Ukraine. And from the moment it crossed the border until the signal disappeared, it was observed by the radars of the country's air defense system. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a 60% off sale for the end of 2023. And they're also doing a 25% sale on their 4-week emergency food supply. To get these deals, you have to go to preparewithnyprepper.com. The link is in the description below this video. And their 4-week emergency food supply is contained within 2 rugged, watertight buckets. Free shipping is included. So you have a month's worth of food packed into just 2 buckets. If you have to bug out, you can easily take those buckets with you. If you live in a small apartment, you can easily find a space to store 2 buckets, and you're going to be set for at least a month. And this food is freeze-dried, so it has a 25-year shelf life. It includes breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks. Free shipping is included. And My Patriot Supply is also running a 60% off end-of-the-year sale. And to take advantage of that, you have to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. It's at the top of the page. You click on that, and it'll take you to their general store. And you'll see here all kinds of prepping and survival products. They have MREs. They have 2,400 calorie emergency ration bars. They have canned heat and cooking fuel. They have potassium iodide, survival seeds, solar generators, solar panels, anything you can imagine. It's all in here. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of their 1-month emergency food supply and to also take advantage of their 60% off sale across their entire store. And I'll leave a link in the description below this video. In accordance with applicable procedures, the operational commander of the armed forces mobilized the available forces and resources at his disposal. And here's another post, a little bit more details here about this violation. The violation of Polish airspace occurred at 7:12 a.m. local time in the area of Horodło, and from the moment it crossed the border, the object was observed by the radars of the country's air defense system. Tonight, there was information about the expected activity of long-range aviation in the Russian Federation. In order to ensure the security of Polish airspace, the combat readiness of the air defense system was increased, including pairs of Polish and Allied fighters on duty. Okay, so Poland and NATO deployed their fighter jets into the air in order to verify and finally confirm the technical indications of the radar systems. A ground search for possible elements of the missile was launched, involving soldiers of the Polish National Guard and uniformed services officers, basically police. So this is huge, guys. Let me show you where this happened. This was 20 plus miles into Polish territory. Okay, so here's Lviv right here. This is that western city in Ukraine where all the foreign fighters go into Ukraine and where a lot of the Western weapons flow in. And this is the area where the search is taking place for the missile between these three towns here, Tomaszów Lubelski, Hrubieszów, and Zamość. Zamość is actually a very historical Polish city. I was there once when I was a kid. It's a historically significant city. And we did have one eyewitness saying that they saw search teams in this particular area right here. Okay. And that's 23 miles in. Okay. And apparently the missile crossed the border right here. Okay. Here's Lviv. And the missile came in right here near Horodło, right here. This little tiny town right on the border. That's where the missile came in. So it looks like the missile came in and was flying straight towards Zamość, which again is a historic Polish city. Okay. And it looks like it turned around and then went back towards Ukraine and either crashed somewhere in this area here or it crossed back into Ukraine. Okay. But the location of this missile crossing Poland is very concerning because there's no Ukrainian targets here. Okay, Lviv is down here, so if this missile was meant for Lviv, it would have went down here in this direction, but this is pretty far north of Lviv, okay, and there's nothing up here in northwest Ukraine but bogs and forests. So this tells me that this missile either had a calibration issue or a guidance issue, or it was purposely fired at Poland, and I'm leaning towards that. Okay, I think it was purposely fired towards Poland, towards the city of Zamość to scare Poland. Okay, to kind of scare Poland a little bit, to warn Poland, to try to get Poland to back away from supporting Ukraine, and basically showing Poland, listen, we can strike your historical cities any day we want, and we can turn Poland into Ukraine. And that's basically what this was about. It was a psychological warfare tactic by Putin. And it looks to me like this missile was going to go straight towards Zamość and then at the last minute turned around. So this is very, very concerning. Of course, we don't know many of the details, okay? And an eyewitness in the area reported hearing a loud whistle in the morning. And the Russian Ministry of Defense reported that 3 Ukrainian HARM missiles manufactured in the U.S. were destroyed by Russian air defense systems in the Belgorod area last night. So Ukraine fired some HARM missiles. Those are the anti-radiation missiles that the U.S. gave to them. And these missiles are specifically designed to target radar emissions. So they're used to destroy radar towers, and of course they're made by the U.S. and Ukraine is firing them at Russian territory. So Russia's basically trying to say that America is a party to the conflict now. And in 2023, NATO intercepted Russian aircraft over NATO airspace 300 times. This was reported by NATO headquarters. Most of the interceptions took place over the Baltic Sea. Okay, 300 interceptions, guys, in 2023. And they just told this to us now, okay? And they just told us this now. So, like I've always said, guys, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, okay? If you're the type of person that only believes official sources and official information, I really feel sorry for you because you're missing out on a lot of information if you only follow the official narrative. Okay, the official narrative is never going to tell the truth. They're never going to say what's really going on. It's not in their interest to tell you the truth. It's not in their interest. Okay, they're always going to hide everything and make up stories. Okay, just like with this missile attack that happened today in Ukraine and Poland. Very serious situation. And South Korea has reportedly detected signs of North Korea making launch preparations for solid-fueled intermediate and intercontinental ballistic missiles. Strategic provocations are expected in 2024, and North Korea's experimental light water nuclear reactor is expected to be in full-fledged operation next summer, South Korea's defense chief has said. South Korean Defense Minister Shin Won-sik made the remark to reporters Thursday after the IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi renewed concerns last week over signs of activity at the reactor in the North's main Yongbyon nuclear complex. Grossi said his agency had detected signs of the North commissioning the reactor, such as the strong outflow of water from its cooling system since mid-October, noting the experimental reactor can produce plutonium, a key nuclear weapon fuel, like any other nuclear reactor. Shin said Seoul has detected signs of cooling water being discharged from the reactor since last summer, estimating that it would likely take the North about a year since then to put the reactor in full operation. The reactor is currently on a test run for improvements to its equipment and facilities, he said. It is expected to be in normal operation by next summer. The North started building the experimental reactor more than a decade ago, which is known to have a bigger capacity than the 5-megawatt reactor at Yongbyon that the regime has used to produce plutonium. All right, so North Korea is spinning up a second nuclear reactor that they can use to produce weapons-grade plutonium, okay? A second reactor, guys, and it's going to be online in just a few months. They started building it 10 years ago, and I'm sure all the different presidents we had just kicked the can down the road to the next guy because they didn't want to deal with it. And now you can't kick that can any further down the road, okay? The can has hit a dead end, and now you got to deal with it, okay? North Korea is rapidly building up their nuclear arsenal, as is Iran. Okay, North Korea tested a solid-fueled ICBM just a week ago. It had a 9,000-mile range, and it's solid-fueled, which means they can launch this thing in a moment's notice within seconds, and there's not going to be any early warning for us. Okay, there's not going to be anything we can see on satellite like fuel trucks being moved to a launch site or some fueling operations like with liquid-fueled missiles that they used to have. So this is very concerning, guys, okay? All of these fronts around the world are just escalating, all these war fronts, Korea, the Middle East, Ukraine, okay? The largest missile attack on Ukraine since the war started. Another missile crossing into Polish airspace, flying for 40 kilometers and 3 minutes inside of Poland. NATO intercepting Russian planes near NATO airspace in the Baltic Sea 300 times. Okay, the writing is on the wall, guys. Things are really getting out of hand. 2024 is going to be the craziest year we've seen so far. I know a lot of you guys were hoping 2024 would be more peaceful, but it's not, okay? And here we have a U.S. aerial refueler or possibly a radar plane that was flying in southeastern Poland last night during that Russian missile attack on Ukraine. And what's interesting is it was flying right in the area where that Russian missile crossed into Polish airspace. So I don't know if Russia was also trying to send a message to the U.S. Air Force and to NATO saying that we can shoot down your planes in Poland to try to scare NATO planes. But look at where this thing was flying, guys. Here's Zamość right here, okay, that historical town, and it was literally flying like right where that missile crossed into Poland. So this is very, very serious, guys. And last night, we also had a lot of activity in the Middle East. We had multiple RQ-4 Global Hawk reconnaissance drones flying along the Lebanon coastline in the eastern Mediterranean. Here we have Forte 14, and you can see it was flying this really dense pattern along the Lebanon coast, and specifically it was very close to Beirut. And what's interesting is there was also an Iranian government plane that flew from Tehran to Lebanon late last night. So this is very concerning, guys. It sounds like something may be going down in Lebanon very soon. It looks like Israel's getting ready to attack Hezbollah once they wrap up their operation in Gaza and they secure Gaza and they eliminate most of the threats there. They're going to turn their attention to Hezbollah because just 2 days ago, Hezbollah launched the largest rocket barrage at northern Israel since the start of the war in Gaza, okay? So it's only going to expand, guys, okay? Here's a closer look at that U.S. RQ-4 Global Hawk reconnaissance drone, and you can see it was just focusing all of its attention right on Lebanon, guys. Look at this. This is insane. And then it was eventually relieved by another RQ-4 that turned its transponder off, which is also very concerning. These RQ-4s normally don't turn their transponders off. And according to inventor Lee Wheelbarger, this type of flight path is a targeting path. So what these Global Hawks are doing is they're collecting information on possible targets in Lebanon and specifically Beirut. Okay, if NATO or Israel or the U.S. want to launch airstrikes on Lebanon, they need to figure out where the targets are, okay? And so that's what these drones are doing. There was also a U.S. aerial refueler flying near eastern Syria, near one of the U.S. military bases at the same time last night. And then here we have one of the RQ-4 Global Hawks that was sent to relieve this one here, and it turned its transponder off. You can see it took off from Sicily, and it was heading directly towards the eastern Mediterranean when it just turned its transponder off, and then it turned its transponder back on once it got close to the eastern Mediterranean, and then it turned its transponder off again. So this is the last location of that second RQ-4. And then there was also another aerial refueler off the coast of Cyprus. So things are really heating up, guys. Okay, here you can see that second RQ-4 turning its transponder back on when it was just south of Crete. And then it was heading directly towards Lebanon, and then it shut its transponder off somewhere here. And then at the same time, an aerial refueler, a KC-2 Voyager operated by the UK, was flying in circles. And earlier this afternoon, there was a United Nations plane that flew from Greece to Riga in Latvia. So that's pretty interesting. And then at the same time, there was a US P-8 Poseidon sub-hunter plane that was patrolling the Baltic Sea. You could see it was flying near Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Kaliningrad, Poland. So things are really heating up, guys. And we also had a P-8 Poseidon patrolling the Strait of Hormuz. Here we have a video posted by Zelensky, and he visited Avdiivka, which is the city that Russia recently took back from Ukraine. And he went right to the outskirts of Avdiivka. You can see in the background here the sign. Guys, this was today, guys. He was right on the front line. You can hear the bombs going off in the background.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки.
I wish you health, fellow Ukrainians.
Авдіївка, наші позиції, наші хлопці.
Our positions, our guys.
Україна тут захищає свої.
Ukraine is defending its own here.
І захищає увесь
Defending our entire nation.
Наш народ. як і на
just as on the entire front line,
всій лінії на передовій. Донеччина, Харківщина.
Donetsk region, Kharkiv region. You could hear actually a shell going off just there.
Захищаємо нашу державу. Слава Україні!
So I'll be back later on this evening with another update, but there's just so much to unpack here with the situation in Poland and the missile strike in Ukraine last night. The things going on in the Middle East with all these recon planes flying off of Lebanon. So I will be back later on tonight with another update, potentially a live update. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon below so you get notified when I post these updates or when I go live. And until then, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.